Yeah, really. Garrett, yesterday we learned that the DOJ dropped charges against former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. He pled guilty back in 2017 to lying to the FBI during the Mueller investigation. The DOJ saying the government doesn't believe his statements were material, even if untrue. What's the reaction to that today on Capitol Hill?
It's been interesting. Now, the House and Senate are out today, so most of this has been through reading tea leaves and Twitter and tweets and letters and so forth. But Flynn didn't have a lot of friends among conventional Republicans, traditional Republicans. So we are seeing some perhaps mildly performative support for him from Republicans saying that we shouldn't have had to go through this. Aha, don't you see this was a witch hunt as the president described it. What you're seeing from Democrats is somewhat stronger. House Democrats on the Judiciary Committee have said they want to have an investigation into the way that Bill Barr, the Attorney General, has politicized that department. They see this as a clear act of a clear political act here, not something done in the interest of justice or of the rule of law. And they want to see it investigated. And I can tell you they're going to have a tough time with that because of all the things we've seen and reported on here of this administration resisting oversight from Congress. No branch, no element of the federal government has been more resistant to that than the Bill Barr Justice Department, and Democrats learned during the impeachment process, and they're maybe perhaps about to learn it again if indeed they do try to aggressively investigate this decision.
Yeah, Garrett Hayek on Capitol Hill. Thank you so much, and a happy Friday to you.
Thanks, Allison. Have a good weekend.
You too. Pennsylvania is easing out of its lockdown with a color-coded system. 24 counties are moving to the yellow phase of the state's reopening plan, while about two-thirds of the state's counties are still locked down. MSNBC senior national correspondent Chris Jansing is in eastern Pennsylvania. And Chris, let's start off with this color-coded system the state's using. What do red, yellow, and green mean? What's opening? What's staying closed here?
Yeah, that's the right question, and you used the right word, which is easing its way in. All the folks here, whether it's when do I get back to my life, when do I get my job back, when do I get my business back, all of them go to this system, right? So think of a stoplight, red, yellow, and green, and we can show you what each of them mean. Red is basically where most of us have been, certainly on the East Coast, full stop, stay at home, only life-sustaining or essential businesses. Aggressive mitigation, which means you don't have to stay at home, but, only go out when you really need to. But most retail gets to reopen with certain precautions in place. Child care for those workers, obviously, who are going back to work, and there can be gatherings of up to 25 people. Green, which is nowhere in the state, will be when restaurants, bars, gyms, spa, also open within guidelines. We can show you a map as well. And this is where it gets really dicey for a lot of folks because, as you said, about a third of the state gets to reopen. That's the ones that are in yellow to some extent. They get to reopen. But where I am and much of the rest of Pennsylvania is still in that full stop red. One of the big concerns when you're at a place like this is a peddler's village. Beautiful. I think it's 65 different small shops. There's a restaurant. I'm standing next to a tavern here. Gorgeous area. But if they can't open and people see that something a few counties over is open when it's a beautiful weekend, or if they find out that New Jersey beaches, which aren't far away, or Maryland beaches, they can go there. The concern is that even people who have been coming here to Bucks County for years, even for generations, may have to go somewhere else. And that obviously is a long-term concern for those who are still just really trying to hang on to their businesses as they head into the third month pretty soon of being closed, Allison.
Chris, you mentioned you're in Bucks County, still in the red phase. How are business owners there handling this lockdown?
Well, there's a lot of anxiety, right? Because they think that, first of all, they're very grateful that they got the PPP. They got, some money there. They also have many of their employees who are on unemployment. But then when you go from there, they just don't know, right? You have to be able to make plans. You have to be able to tell people, when are you coming back to work? If you're, for example, in a food business or many of the businesses that require restocking, they need to have time to get that back up and running, and they just don't know when that's going to happen. One of the folks who owns a business here told me what they think is not being considered is that the people here really thought very carefully about a plan. How do we reopen safely? For our customers, of course, but many of small business owners, they work in their own small business. They've known these employees. They consider them like family. They want messaging from the government to say, we have a plan. It's not confusing. When things reopen, you're going to feel comfortable about going back. Here's what one of those business owners told me.
The other half of the equation is ensuring that individuals ranging from teenagers to grandparents to everybody in between understand here's what it's going to be like. It's safe for you to return to these stores. You can do it, whether it's go and get your hair cut or whether it's come and buy a jar of honey. These stores have gone